Xocolātl. I'm Tlaquachiwa Benny, and welcome back to Reheated History, the show where we prove that history is the only thing that doesn't have an expiration date. As a history teacher, I'm always looking for new and delicious ways to connect with the past. What did the common medieval peasant eat? What fueled the Roman gladiator? Did colonial Americans have a favorite comfort food? The answers aren't in textbooks, they're in the kitchens, farms, and fire pits of history. So, each week we'll cook our way through time, one humble, hopefully hilarious, and surprisingly tasty dish at a time. Because the best way to understand history is with our stomachs. This is Reheated History. As you know, the grocery store is getting pretty tough on the wallet, and with the way the prices are moving, I'm starting to think the barter system might not have been that bad of an idea. Which is funny, because today we're headed to pre-Columbian Aztec Empire around the 15th century, where your dinner was literally your wallet.
The civilization of the Aztecs that rivals the Incas of Peru. Here are pyramids rivaling those of ancient Egypt, and likewise archaeological puzzles. Some of the ceremonial dances of the Aztecs are preserved to this day, rigorously reenacted on special occasions.
In Tenochtitlan, known today as Mexico City, if you were a noble or a merchant, you didn't just drink chocolate, you drank money. Cacao beans were the currency of the land, and what's exciting is we actually have an idea about the exchange rate for cacao. 1 bean would get you a tomato or a tamale, 3 beans got you an avocado or a fish wrapped in maize, 30 beans got you a rabbit, and if you're a big Thanksgiving fan like me, 100 beans would buy you a turkey. Which is still surprisingly cheaper than getting it at Whole Foods. Now, before you judge the Aztecs for having an economic system that makes you poorer every snack break, there are tons of examples in history where food actually becomes currency. Bread was used in ancient Egypt for trading and daily wages, and Roman soldiers were paid in salt, which is actually where we get the word salary. What's funny is because these beans were so valuable, people actually counterfeited them, filling empty shells with dirt or clay to pass them off at the market, which means that one of humanity's oldest financial crimes was actually chocolate fraud. Now that sounds like a great con until your neighbor decides to make dessert with your currency and realizes that they just bought a pot of hot mud. I like to think that on the walls of the Aztec ruins you can actually see the first Yelp review. Product not as described. 1 star. But while the rich were sipping on cold, frothy Xocolātl, the commoners, the farmers, and the builders who literally held the empire together were fueled by Atolli. One was a luxury for the elite, the other was a sustainer of the empire. We're making both today to see how both halves lived. Before we drink our liquid money and sacred corn mud, we have to talk a bit about how the Aztecs managed to feed a city of up to 200,000 people while living in the middle of a lake. Now you see, they didn't have sprawling Midwestern prairies, they had a swamp. So they did what any self-respecting empire would do. They manufactured their own land. They created Chinampas, which is a fancy word for floating gardens. You gotta think about these as like the original hydroponic skyscraper, just horizontal. They wove giant reed mats, anchored them to the lake bed with willow trees, and piled them high with nutrient-rich lake muck. The result? 7 harvests a year. While the rest of the world was waiting for that one measly crop of wheat to grow, the Aztecs were basically running a 24/7 supermarket of corn and beans. And they did it without a single subsidy. You can't beat that corn lobby, oldest in the Americas. But it wasn't just about the veggies. The canals between the gardens were a literal buffet. While we think they're adorable little alien pets today, and trust me, I know all about them, they're a really big deal to first graders. To the Aztecs, the Axolotl was known as a water dog, and it was a serious protein source. So if you weren't a noble sipping chocolate from a fancy cup, you might be grabbing a grilled salamander on your way to work. I could not find any historical images or modern recreations of grilled axolotl, so I had my daughter give us an artist representation of the dish. Thank you, Penny, for the assist. And then there's what I'm calling algae cheese. The Aztecs used to scoop a fine green film off the surface of Lake Texcoco called Xocolātl, which we now know as spirulina, and they would dry it into cakes that the Spanish conquistadors compared to cheese. Now, something to consider about this Aztec delicacy, the Nahuatl name for Xocolātl roughly translates to stone excrement. So when your health influencer tries to tell you that their superfood smoothie is made out of ancient wisdom, they're not technically wrong. They're just drinking the Aztec version of fancy cheese that also translates to rock. And one more thing about the Aztecs, let's talk about the tribute.
Look! It's the pyramid! But what's that glowing?
Zoinks! It's old Karazuma himself! You have been warned. Leave these sacred grounds at once.
Now, if the Aztecs conquered your town, they didn't just take your cacao beans, they took your lunch. Every year, thousands of tons of grain were shipped to Tenochtitlan as a mandatory tax. If you didn't pay up, well, let's just say you might end up as the guest of honor at a ceremony you absolutely did not want to RSVP. It's ultimately how the Aztecs remained an empire in the region, ruling by force, offering protection, and demanding that you keep the imperial machine running by any means necessary. Alright, let's go to the royal drink first. For the Xocolātl, you'll need 1 cup of cacao nibs or 100% dark cacao. I found my cacao nibs on Amazon, but you can probably find them at Whole Foods or Sprouts. 2 cups of water, 1 teaspoon of chili powder. Piquín is the right kind of authentic fight back flavor. 1 teaspoon of vanilla and a pinch of Achiote for that royal red color. Cacao beans were incredibly valuable. The reason I keep calling this the drink of the royals is that 1 cup of cacao nibs needed to make this drink would be somewhere around $100 worth of beans in today's money. Francisco Lopez de Gomara documented that Emperor Montezuma drank somewhere around 50 cups worth thousands of dollars of chocolate daily. The Aztecs, unlike the Maya who preferred theirs warm, actually liked their Xocolātl cold or at room temperature. Now you grind your cacao into a paste in a molcajete, which is best for that rustic kind of feel. Mix with water and spices. The most important part is the foam. You're going to have to pour it from a height to get those bubbles. The more foam you had, the more clout you had at the palace. All right, we're going to try it out. I'm going to try the pour method. Okay. I imagine with a little bit of practice you get good at this. The high pour method is going fine, but why fight it when you have modern tech? All right. It's got plenty of foam in it. Let's give it a taste. Aztec Xocolātl. No, no, I don't like that at all. I wanted that out of my mouth immediately. I was hoping it was gonna. I knew there was no sugar in it. I was kind of hoping it was like coffee, but it's really absolutely nothing like that. It's not even like chocolate at all. It's just straight up cacao with a little bit of spice in it. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. This is like I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 10. This is actually really kind of gross, and if someone gave it to me, I'd be mad at them. Okay, now I do understand that if you like things a little sweet, you can add a little bit of honey to it. So we're gonna try that. You can also do agave syrup, but since I have honey available. Go ahead and stir that in there, get a little more foam going. Interestingly enough, the foam is a little easier when it's sweet, so. No, that did nothing. This is still gross. 2 out of 10. All right, and for the rest of us poor, let's try Atolli. You're gonna need 2 cups of fresh corn. I got mine right off the cob. 2 cups of water, a pinch of salt, and an optional dollop of honey or agave syrup. If you're, let's just say, having a fancy month. You're gonna take your corn and your water and your pinch of salt and put it all in a pot and bring it to a boil. Then simmer it on low until it thickens into a creamy sort of porridge. You're gonna wanna mash it a little bit with the masher, but that's basically it. That's the whole recipe. The common Aztec built an empire on less fuss than your average overnight oats. All right, here's my hot cup of Atolli. All right, I'm gonna take a sip. Yeah, it was good. It's chewy. It's kind of like corn oatmeal, or almost like a cream of corn soup. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I give this an 8 out of 10. It's tasty. I don't know if I would have it regularly, but it is pretty tasty. I like it. Now, if you're having a good month, you can add a little bit of honey. I'm going to go ahead and try that. Mix it in. Yeah, it's sweeter. It's good. I like it. Yeah, 8 out of 10. This is pretty good. Yeah, I like Atolli a lot more than I like the Xocolātl. There's also modern recipes. Atolli is still really, really popular in parts of Central and South America. In Colombia, I hear it's a big deal. They've done things like adding milk and sugar and things like cinnamon, which actually I think would probably improve it a lot. But enough of my reviews. The real judges are my family. If they love the Emperor's drink and the workers' porridge, we've got after dinner treat. If not, I'll bust out the Swiss Miss. I'll put the scores in the description. Whether you're sipping liquid money or eating sacred maize porridge, remember history is best when you can taste it. Thanks for watching Reheated History. Stay curious, stay spicy, and if your chocolate ever tastes like dirt, either you've been cheated at the market or you've accidentally made rock poop. Wali Tonali, Wali Tonali. I'm Tlaqualchina. I'm Tlaqualchina Chiwa. Tlaqualchiwa. I'm Tlaqualchiwa. Tlaqualchiwa. I'm Tlaqualchiwa. Blah 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 blah. It's so easy to be unsure of yourself when speaking Aztec.